sage is a really wonderful thing. It's really opening up new possibilities in my own life. I'm hoping it does the same for you in clearing and smudging out anything you are holding on to that seems to drag. We don't want to drag. We want to cry if we need to, scream if we must, and move through emotions. That is what counts. And may this sage wash away any hindrance in your world, in your life, so you can speak, yell, shout, and emote your truth and feel it. Feel it with me. Peace, love, harmony, beauty, namaste to you. Infinity is my favorite symbol. Yes. And then we were here. Welcome, MXGDML here. Thank you so much for going through this journey with me. We have arrived. This is the final episode, the countdown. Oh my gosh, we've made it. I've made it. And there are a lot of things to say on that note, and we'll get to it. I would like to end with how we started, back into Sun Tzu, The Art of War, talking in a weak points and strong chapter. The last few sections read as such. Military tactics are like unto water, for water in its natural course runs away from high places and hastens downwards. So in war, the way is to avoid what is strong and to strike at what is weak. Water shapes its course according to the nature of the ground over which it flows. The soldier works out his victory in relation to the foe whom he is facing. Therefore, just as water retains no constant shape, so in warfare there are no constant conditions. He who can modify his tactics in relation to his opponent and thereby succeed in winning may be called a heaven-born captain. The 5 elements are not always equally predominant. The 4 seasons make way for each other in turn. There are short days and long. The moon has its periods of waning and waxing. Water as the element, the connective flow of the world. Mini Wachoni, aho, water is life, but war is not life, I think. Yes, we've heard in this series that the way to live and how men have always functioned and thus is life is through war. I think Herman Hesse said that. But you cannot put ashes and burned charred bits on your plants and call that watering. Yet we know that phoenix do rise from ashes, but plants rise from being watered in soil. And that is life. It's also strange to liken soldiers to water as an elemental force, something so destructive compared and related to something so destructive. There's even more to dive into with how the military spends its money, but you know, it seems, well, let me get to a different spot and talk about this. spot. This audio might be a little loud because there are steel plates down there, but I wanted to shoot in this spot because it's where the power and water is. The power and water of Los Angeles right here. That's the important stuff. No, I gotta say it's weird to bring this series to a close. I Killed the Yemeni Mother, hashtag TAXESFUNDWAR, dealt with such a heavy topic that weighed down on my mind and my soul and my shoulders. And to conclude it in a space that's surrounded by natural and artificial seems only fitting in the sense that I have found this strange duality to live in and to view the United States and my city and my entire world view as something that's a bit of a coin. Yes, a coin. And it's just weird to flip this coin and call heads or tails on a daily basis and think, all right, I'm going to find the silver lining, or I'm going to dig deeper into the foxhole and then come up with something even more incriminating about the people who surround me and about the country that I call home. I find it strange that we are a species that can find beauty in such small little things in nature and in the world, but then also construct and see so many ugly things that are a part of this world just as much as the other half. And if you can answer this for me, please explain. How can we have celebration and destruction on this earth simultaneously? Why can people go to church on a Sunday and others die on a Sunday all at the same time? How come there is a duality and a simultaneity to existence? And then I wonder what that says about us. Are we not to celebrate then ever? Because if we take into account the gravity of the disenfranchised peoples of the world and those who are less fortunate, does it take away the justification and the value of those who do have fortune? Then why do we have the fortunate and unfortunate? How come people have some and some have none? It just seems like our mind has evolved to mirror our society, so we have all things happening at once and it's overstimulation and we are still dissatisfied and we block out so many things in order to survive. Because honestly, thinking about the Yemeni people is incredibly disheartening. And thinking about my fellow people here and the comfort that we have is also disheartening. So in acknowledging the fortunate status that I have, I do feel disheartened. So then what does that say about my viewpoint, or about the fact that it exists alongside the viewpoints of those in Yemen who look around them and see the constant threat of a plane overhead and worry and wonder? And then I also think about the Yemeni people, and they have causes to celebrate too. They have birthdays, national holidays, religious holidays, and things to give them cause for happiness and jubilation and imbibing. And who are we to take that away from them? What gives us the right to do that? Is it our power? Is it the fact that we have infrastructure, highways, freeways, and buildings and towers that give us some sense of ego? Do we have a justification for the actions we take domestically and internationally because our home base is stable? You know, I just constantly think about what if we were in another situation and then the Yemeni people were bombing us, if the tables were turned, and if the Yemeni people were fighting a proxy war with Canada by supplying drones to Mexico so they could bomb us. It's just as far-fetched a situation as what we have created and bought into and supplied in the Middle East if it were here with our neighboring countries. How could that be okay? How is what we are doing okay? I'm just having a really hard time finding the justification for our actions in this world. How can we have people who celebrate and drink and get drunk here knowing that what we just built is killing people over here? I don't get it. It's hard to say. It's hard to say because it's so trite and overused. Put aside our differences. Yeah, duh. Let's not celebrate our holidays. Don't celebrate your holidays until we have finally brought everybody's standard up to either ours or a new bar that's set for people who could live in peace and in comfort in the world, then I don't think we deserve a space to drink or to celebrate, because it doesn't feel right to me. In my opinion, it doesn't feel like I can celebrate the 4th of July and go, yeehaw! No! I don't support what this country does with my monies. I want to take my monies out of it. Even still, the IRS doesn't care if you live abroad. They're still gonna find you and take your taxes. I'm gonna put a link in the video description about what the IRS does to expats and people who live internationally and how they still try to reel in money for the discretionary budget. It's mind-blowing. Is it ever enough? There was a great part Sarah Silverman talked about, a mentor, where he told her what money is like. And money is like giving a big pile of cocaine to a few people and say, go ahead, distribute it equally amongst everybody. That's not gonna happen. Especially our society, let's just say our human species in this subsect of society is outraged when United pulls a passenger off a plane. When one man is maimed and discomforted, and it's awful. I don't support it, that's a given. But the fact remains that injustice is happening at the exact same time as people are being bombed, or trying to fall asleep after their house has been bombed and their family members have died. That gentleman on the United flight is alive. The other people have died. We're okay with death? We're okay with it. We're okay with it? We're okay with that. But we're not okay with this. But we're not okay with United Man being pulled off the plane. How dare somebody treat somebody else that way? That is unbelievable. It's inhuman to pull somebody and drag them in that scenario. It makes me just want to say, fuck you. It's inhuman. It's inhuman to kill people with a drone. It's inhuman, literally, to push buttons and pull triggers so a flying machine can kill somebody else, and so then you don't have to. Forever blameless. As South Park said about Americans, forever blameless. We fight in roundabout ways so nobody gets blamed. That's really what gets me, is what is our threshold? What standards and who set those standards do we live by, and how come those are okay? Why is an injustice to one person worse than an injustice to 17 or 25 million other people? That's just what I don't get. I don't understand how our society can function in the night and the day, in blackness and light, and in good and evil at the same time. And yet here we are, in this beautiful and ugly world. I think it only behooves us to look at the light and day, the good and the bad, the up and the down, at the same time, as a function of the same moment, because all of it happens instantaneously, forever and ever, indefinitely. It always has, does, and always will. And once we look at that moment, where we realize our celebration is not necessarily the enjoyment of others, and then why, and maybe it is connected to us, and maybe their discomfort should also be something we feel, or at least sympathize with, if not hopefully empathize with, then, and only then, are we going to make small steps and progresses forward to better everyone's life. And then we arrive one last time for one final segment and reading from what has become, I think, my favorite piece of literature from this series, If the War Goes On, Hermann Hesse. There is a chapter in here written in 1919 about Letter to a Young German. This boy is turned upside down and Hermann Hesse tries to fill some void or give some adult answer. I beg you not to misunderstand me. I blame no one. I am only trying to tell you what was, not to accuse. This is unusual in our country. All we hear is cries of accusation and hatred. Today we Germans, like everyone else, have learned the disastrous art of putting the blame on others when we are in trouble. I am attacking, accusing this attitude and nothing else. We are all of us equally guilty and innocent of the fact that our faith was so weak and our officially patented God so ruthless that we were so incapable of distinguishing war and peace, good and evil. You and I, the Kaiser and the priest, all played a part. We have no call to accuse one another. That is so relevant. That is not just you Germans of 1919. That is us Americans and many peoples across the world who do accuse and sling hatred around and have been confusing the yous and the I's and those in powers just to find some scapegoat. Well, he continues with one last bit. Don't confine yourself to any other prophet or guide. Our mission is not to instruct you, to make things easier for you, to show you the way. Our mission is solely to remind you that there is a God and only one God. He dwells in your hearts, and it is there you must seek him out and speak with him. Regardless of your religious denomination, I find that there is truth in seeking truth in your own person. And it may not be a him that you speak with, or a her, if it's monotheistic, polytheistic, whatever it is, differs person to person. But there is a small voice that is always inside of us, a small little conscience that we know and deep down have heard. In the craziest moments where we need make decisions, or the comfort and quiet of our bed at night when we know that we could be doing this, or we think of something and then know what is right. This little voice, as Hermann Hesse describes it, is God, is universe, is spirit, energy, Gaia, Brahma, Muhammad, Yahweh, Buddha, anything. It is there. And this begs bigger questions, which I know is usually when I say we need bigger answers. And yes, this is true. We will save that for another time. That is a whole nother discussion about what those little voices mean to individual peoples, and then how come we have such loss in translation. My friends, I think all I can say is my mantra. What has guided me through these series and guides me through life, and what I feel is so common denominationally between peoples. Peace, love, harmony, beauty, namaste. To you, my fellow brothers and sisters, my humans, my companions in this global timeline and play, we are all here to act and create, some react and destroy. However, we all have a part, and the play turns one more page.